Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all here. My name is Polina. I'm in blockchain space for 10 years, maybe, up to 10 years right now. And this was the talk name that I come up when I signed up for the talk for about a month ago or so. And yeah, I wasn't sure if I'll be here by myself or with the team, so I just thought, what would be fun to talk about? And I decided talking about this is actually not a bad thing. So how far are we from data dystopia? If you actually want to know the answer to this question, the answer is, I don't know. That's it. Thanks for your attention. But frankly, there was no definite answer in the web on what is actual definition of data dystopia. So the talk is going to be really pretty philosophical, and we'll just discuss on privacy, self-sovereign identity, and how does it all come up with the data. So yeah, let's try and figure how far are we on the way to dystopia, if we are at all. So really, dystopia by definition is the anti-utopia. So there is no clear definition to dystopia. It's just something that is not utopia. This is from Wikipedia. So let's talk about utopia then. And there was actually a book by the Sir Thomas More. So technically from Greek language, it is translated as a no place. So it is something so ephemeral, something so idealistic that it does not really exist in this world. That's why it is utopia. And yeah. That's how I come up with definition. Okay, so let's think about something that is super, super ideal. It's so ideal that it doesn't really exist. So if we approximate this to the data, this is what it would look like. So every human owns everything that they produce, and they clean it up and control its flows. So technically everything that is your footprint of your existence, something that could be put into the web space, you have ultimate control over it. And if you have ultimate control over it, that means you can delete it, easy peasy. That technically means that you're anonymous, and your anonymity is by default because you can control everything. So if we're thinking about data dystopia, then it would be the opposite of data utopia. So okay, you have no ability to control everything that you own, your footprint is easy to track back to you, so you are not anonymous at all, if anyhow. So yeah, if we're looking at the scale, I would kind of rate it that we're closer to dystopia, maybe 80% than to the utopia, because, and how would I define it? Actually, I Googled on how can you delete yourself from the internet, just plain Google search. It's actually an article from McAfee, and he says, well, it was just the first result. While you can delete your personal info from the internet entirely, you can take strong steps to remove it from risky places. And, well, it's interesting to define risky places, but anyways, it's really very hard to delete yourself from internet. It's very easy to get a service, but it's very hard to delete yourself. And this is actually a privacy policy of the company called Delete Me. And they have these different clauses, like if you're from California, you have this and this rights. And if you're from European Union, you have this and this rights. And you can actually exercise your rights if you go and contact our representative, blah, 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 blah. And the app itself is the app that cleans up all the traces that you have on the internet, like someone using your email somewhere and you cannot control it and so on. And so yeah, it's actually very easy to give away your data. For example, I have this stupid advertisement of some yoga service in Instagram, and I sign up for it, and then I figured out that they actually work in Russia, and this is a very principal point for me, and I'm like, I don't want to use that. And now they send me a shit ton of emails, and to unsubscribe from there, I have to go, log in, figure out my password if I remember it at all, and then try to find the button to delete me. And if I find it, or if there's no button, I would actually need to write an email asking to delete my data. And it's just like a shit ton more steps than I would want to do. So, and now my email has thousands of unread emails, and it's very hard to clean those up. And even if I clean those up, they're still piling up and piling up because people don't really sorry, I forgot the English word for this, don't really think well about carrying your data. Anyways, I need my footnotes. Sweet, and that gives us to the point, like previously, we didn't spread so much data around because it was expected of everyone to host their own service. Everyone had to have this like server rack at home, get their website on, and you would self-manage your data. And even if you go back, you have this like in every Linux system, on each and every file or folder, you have this access right of like read, write, execute, and also you can put like 777 for the specific file to allow someone to read it or not read it. As well, if you have Android, for example, every time you have an app, you can actually, app will ask you, can I use your microphone, or can I use your photos, or network connection, whatnot. For some reason, iPhone doesn't do it. I don't know why. So really, well, that's why he starts judgingly. Like right now, it's not convenient to have your own rack space and have your own website at home because you already have cloud. It's just so convenient. You put everything into the cloud, it hosts it. There is no self-hosting anymore. And yeah, what happened with that idea at all? And that actually kept me thinking about physical versus cloud. This is funny because this is actual picture of the storage that I'm about to use, because I'm moving from Croatia and I have a lot of stuff. And this is roughly 8 or 4 cubic meters, and it's cost about 50 euros a month. And well, it is a storage. It's not self-access, so people will bring it, put it in the box. It will be in there. It costs 50 euros a month. It is insured. Nobody will have access to it. I have contract with them, so the only person who can actually get the stuff back is me. And yeah, why don't we really do the same with our cloud data? So my first thought was like, okay, we have photos, for example. I use iCloud for that. And why, if I want to put something on Facebook, for example, or Instagram, I have to re-upload it again? Why don't they just use the same one item that I have in iCloud, so I only pay for iCloud? Kind of like a physical storage thing. And yeah, even if Facebook would tell me, okay, now you store it yourself, and you pay us some money, and we will never share it with anyone, I will still probably not believe it. And then I was thinking, okay, so maybe I should just check iCloud, if iCloud actually will share something with anyone. And I was kind of surprised because it appears they kind of can. It's actual from their privacy policy as of maybe 2 days ago. And I'm not very good at legal talk, but it sounds pretty evil, which it says, if you share something, you grant Apple worldwide royalty-free and exclusive license to use, distribute, blah, 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 and a lot of other things with your data. And I'm like, what? And I was just basically keyword searching on privacy policy of Apple. Really, I didn't find anything on Google privacy policy, but I was curious if that's because their wordsmith in legal and compliance is better than iCloud. And then I'm like, okay, let's try to find an app that's actually not interested, really not interested in having all your data, which is 1Password. And the wording is better, but pretty much the point is every company has to do something with your data, and they have this under service data, which is in every legal talk, there is something that would say like, okay, we have this data that can be used by third parties, we hold it and blah, 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 but damn, this is just so evil. Okay, and I love reading terms of service and privacy policy, really said no one ever. I'm just reading it for the talk, really. I don't really read it anywhere else. Every time I sign up for something, I'm like, yeah, I agree with terms of service, it's fine, it's fine. Maybe the only person who loves it is a lawyer who compiles them for a living. Yeah, and after this, so we had 2 paid services that said, okay, we collect your data. One said it's like, we only collect essential, we don't really know with it. Another said, yeah, we have full rights for that, except for claiming the ownership. So after that, it keeps on you thinking that most people don't really think that if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. So imagine how badly like Facebook can utilize your data, or Instagram, or TikTok, or Twitter, or you name the service. Like, it must be pretty bad. And this gives us to this awesome picture. And it is a reference and throwback to Mark Zuckerberg sitting in Congress, being interviewed, or maybe interrogated rather. It's probably in 2018, I don't remember correctly the year, but it was after the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. So Cambridge Analytica is a British company that was contracted by Trump and I don't remember, someone else related to Brexit. And Sorry, my notes. The point being, they had this app and they collected a little bit about information on their users, and I think it was a Facebook app. And then using Facebook Graph, they actually collected 87 million Facebook profiles. And it is pretty scary because they kind of, based on these profiles, they made several clusters and they targeted the advertisement for a specific cluster of people saying specific things that makes Trump good and Hillary Clinton very bad. I'm not sure how their advertisement related to Brexit worked, but they pretty much incentivized people to vote for Brexit, and that was a huge issue, and that's why he was in Congress. Yep, and that leads us to PsyOps, which is pretty much kind of things they did, but they were not, they were doing it legally correct because they utilized everything that was all right. They definitely, it caused a lot of issues and throwback in Facebook, and Facebook did pay a lot of fines after that. But technically, they got the data that was available. They did classify people under several categories. They did prepare specific advertisements to change their mind for a specific thing. So for example, if you like puppies, they would say, yeah, Trump loves puppies too, and Hillary Clinton hates puppies, don't vote for Hillary Clinton, and so on. And this is a typical thing in psychological operation, and right now it's actually a very, very huge problem in Ukraine because of war with Russia. Yeah, because there's so many subtle manipulations that you can do if you know enough information about people, and yeah, up to a point that people cannot really adequately make judgment on things because they're super emotional about something, and you just do more and more emotional stuff. You put them correct news under correct sauce, and after that they just can no longer distribute the correct facts from the false facts just because of how well they're invested into something. Well, yeah, while the topic is pretty subtle, there's a lot of manipulations like this happening around the world pretty much on an everyday basis. Probably you don't even know about it, but that works. And to kind of comply to that, right now AI can learn pretty much all of your habits. AI can help you with making, like, cluster people into the specific groups. And currently almost half of the internet is made up by bots. And I think lots of that probably Internet of Things, but also there is a lot of actual bots that can now easily span a lot of text and write any emotional things for specific news very fast. And it becomes a big problem. And yeah, manipulating masses never been this simple as right now. And yeah, if you can be categorized, you can be manipulated. So if you really reveal any information by yourself, for example, you press some likes on kittens or whatnot, that means that you can be put into category, and that means that they can provide you advertisement with things you like more. And ultimately, the ability to have analytics and bots makes the winner. So the more resources you have to spend on your ads, the more, the more power you have into making people do some specific things. That's why there is a donkey. It's like on a carrot. It goes if you give him carrot. And yeah, the question is, can we really avoid this? And I have several thoughts, really. So forget a lot of bots online. If the ultimate power is to have a lot of bots that can do whatever, or having a lot of people who can have thousands of accounts and vote for something, maybe if everyone has an equal rights to spawn this bot, then internet will become ultimately useless. And there is this thing about AI that it only is cool if you teach him on the human data. If you teach AI on something that is generated by AI, it becomes dull with every next iteration. So the thought is like, okay, so if you give everyone power to spawn these bots and everybody can use AI, then ultimately AI will become useless. And then you're like, okay, we still would need some human information, and we want humans to be able to give their opinion on the internet. So maybe should we KYC the social network, or maybe should we rather make it more impossible to use AI on the internet? Or you can, for example, have separately human-generated content and AI-generated content. So technically, to have good AI that is good for humans, you need to have AI that is trained on human data, and then you would use it for something that is good for humans but not for publishing, for example, evil ads. So yeah, to train AI, we would need this human data. And the problem about human data is really, it should be treated like intellectual property. So going back to very, very first slides, the problem is that right now all the data is being controlled by some third parties, but ideally as a person who generates some patterns of movement or talks or whatnot, it ideally should be treated like intellectual property, like copyright or even exclusive right for some of this stuff. Okay. And this is where actually zero-knowledge proof come in handy. These are just several companies on top of my mind. And it is very awesome. It's very actually utopian idea that you can prove something about yourself without revealing your data. And I think it's great because it's kind of, as a human, you still need to apply for visas or vote or prove that you're over 18 or something else. And these are even like statement that I've been to some conferences, whatnot. And this is actually very awesome tools that would help you do it. And as they evolve, it actually goes to the more private and better internet with time. And it's funny, but physical problem still exists. So even if you don't have any footprint on the internet, you're still a physical person. So for example, if you want to go to the internet or something, to the university, ideally, if you're absolutely anonymous, you will submit your application through zero-knowledge something. They wouldn't know your gender, identity, whatever else, skin color. So technically, the solution is diversity is also in anonymity. And yeah, going back to physical problem. So I was in Poland recently, and I took a train from Wrocław to Warszawa Centralna, as you see my number 58. And if you skip the problem that the two seats nearby is 52, 58, the thing is they have this itinerary written on every seat, so you know where a person goes. Technically, it's made because you can see, some people don't have assigned seats, so they can see it when you're leaving. But then it's kind of weird because you can see me and then where I'm going, and it's super strange. But by Polish law, as long as there is no any like primary key identity thing like name or surname, it's considered fine. And I'm like, it's weird that my physical appearance right here on the seat doesn't mean that it's my personal information. It's just an interesting fact that even if you do everything in zero-knowledge proof, you still have this physical aspect of you being in space, or people living next to you know things about you. And the same is this guy, the Reddit. So there is this saying that Reddit always knows where you live, and you should always remember that, referring to my previous statement that there's always some neighbors that know where you live. And yeah, the ultimate hassle about having your data private, except for the physical thing that I just mentioned, physical presence, is that when you share something, you can never really know if someone did a copy of what you shared or not. So if you have like copyrights or NFTs or exclusive ownership to something, if you really show it to someone, you would never know if they were copied or not. We're talking about digital space. So there's Mona Lisa that you can understand, okay, there she is. But if we're talking about any pictures or your personal data, like, I don't know, medical record, whatnot, you will never know if someone really copied it or not. And then because of that, you can't really fully delete yourself from the internet. And that's kind of almost a summary. The paradigm of assuming that everyone is copying your data is not that invalid. So technically, you would have creators that will create things and share it and monetize it. So when you share something to someone, ideally, you get some profits out of it. For example, if you want to share something with your AI model, you will just go and claim some money for it right away. Or you just use zero-knowledge proof for everything that doesn't require specific data share. So if you're not creating some new content, actually zero-knowledge proofs help with a lot of things in that regards. And that does really sound very utopia. So if we actually, any of these principles, if you can use them in full, that is a utopia. So, and in here I want to say that, you know, like that does sound like a very easy recipe, and easy recipe without like thinking through all the minute details of how it comes to life. It actually is a utopia, a place that doesn't exist. And kind of like a short summary, I wanted to say that the end goal of this topic was not really to talk about the end user, like you personally handling your data. It was more about talking to people and entrepreneurs and people who build their apps and developers to keep in mind that actually end users just follow whatever is easy to use, the same as we had like Web 2, and now everyone should have had their own website on their rack space at home, but now still everybody uses cloud because it's just so convenient. As a person who moves out a lot, I would say I would not have a server and have it also additionally move with me. Yeah, so yeah, summary is it's hard to sell privacy and security where only people think is scroll TikToks. They just don't care if it's private or not. And then, yeah, we as people who really care, who build something, we really need to think about privacy in mind and thinking about future that we'll give to these people. Yeah, and we have to think about mass market. And the fourth point is just general sanity. Don't take a picture of your passkey and put it on the internet, and don't put identifiable data on the blockchain. Talking about privacy, I should be doing like this. So socials right here. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll move back in a minute. Like arrow, you talk to me if you want to know more. But then I was told that I have to have some information about myself if you want to reach out afterwards, or if you want to ask more questions. So that is my Twitter, ENS, something else. You can find me by that one. This is the company that I work for, actually my startup, and we're infrastructure. We do store your data, but as long as you pay us. If you stop paying us, we delete it instantly because somebody has to pay for electricity. Super GDPR compliant. Yeah, that's it. I think I ran out of time, so I'll just leave you with this. This is the book I read recently that gave me all these thoughts about it. And thank you so much for listening to me. Do I have...